Twiddling is when a player literally twiddles their paddle to play a shot with a different rubber. For example, players who use tacky rubbers on the forehand will normally twiddle to the less tacky side to play smashes against high balls, and players with pips on one side will often twiddle for shot variation and to be as tricky as possible for their opponent. In table tennis, there is no rule that states you have to hit the ball over the net. Hence, you'll sometimes see around the net or under the net shots if the conditions are right. One special type of around or under the net shot is the roller, in which the ball sticks to the table and rolls or bounces several times, making it unreturnable. The snake is a type of fishing shot where the contact point of the ball is hidden from your opponent due to it being made under the table. This contact is followed by a deceptive aftermotion to try and trick your opponent into incorrectly guessing the spin. A well-executed snake can metaphorically break your opponent's ankles and literally make them fall over. There is a super fun shot known as the ghost shot, and this can be accomplished via the snake or with certain pushes. With a ghost, the ball bounces on your opponent's side and then comes back over the net before they have a chance to hit it. I also want to note that I put lobbing and fishing in the same category in my last video, and where I live the terms are generally interchangeable, but a fishing shot is played against non-smashes isn't quite as high and generally has more spin than a standard lob. If a player fishes and the opponent smashes, normally the next shot played will be more of a standard lob. Hook shots are the opposite of fade shots. Instead of going inside out, the player adds an extreme amount of outside-inside spin to their stroke, making the ball curve substantially more than your standard shot. A bump is a type of shot normally played with pips, and as the name suggests, you literally bump the ball forward and are basically letting your rubber do a lot of the work for you. There are many variations to this shot that all look slightly different, but they can all be referred to as a bump. Float shots, also sometimes called wiggle shots or knuckleballs, are deceptive balls with little to no spin. Normally this shot will look extremely similar to a push or touch, but the lack of spin will literally make the ball wiggle through the air and can be deceptive to an opponent expecting underspin. Float shots are normally done with pips, but are also done with standard inverted rubbers all the time. I mentioned pushing and touching in my last video, and I want to note that there is some nuance here. Some pushes/touches are more of a lift, and others have more of a slicing or cutting motion. The pushes and touches where you lift without putting much or any backspin can also be considered float shots, but really they can be classified either way. If a float is a touch or push that looks like it has underspin but doesn't, a dead ball, which also does sometimes have other names, is something that looks like it should have topspin but doesn't. Normally this will be something that looks like a loop, sometimes a drive, always a smash, where the opponent is expecting topspin, but the ball in fact has little to no spin, which can cause you to miss in the net. Like the float shot, when it's done intentionally and not by accident, this can be extremely deceptive and tricky to deal with. For what it's worth, some people do interchange the terminology of float shots and dead shots and combine it all into just one name, so there is some nuance here as well. And I wanted to include this just so that I make sure I don't miss anything in this video. Slapping is a type of smash that is normally suboptimal, but basically instead of looping or playing with topspin, the player smacks through the ball. The difference between this and a smash is a slap is played against a lower ball that could or should have been looped. It is a very high risk but high reward shot. If a player is using non-defensive pips on one side, they will often slap instead of looping when going for attacks. I briefly mentioned punching in my last video, which is a very aggressive and powerful block, and I want to note that this can also be considered a slap when done on the backhand side. A tomahawk or underspin smash is a very risky type of smash that puts heavy underspin on the ball. While risky, if executed correctly, this will normally win the point outright. There is both a standard tomahawk smash hit with the forehand rubber, and there's also a reverse tomahawk smash hit with the backhand rubber, although both of these shots are extremely rare at high levels. I also mentioned flipping in my last video, and for the sake of not leaving anything out, I want to note the nuance here because I got a lot of questions about the difference between flipping and flicking. At least where I live, these terms are interchangeable and mean the exact same thing, although there may be a difference in other regions. With that said, there are many types of shots that all fall into this category. There are forehand flip kills, forehand fade flips, backhand strawberry flips, banana flips, Chiquita flips, reverse flips where you use the opposite rubber. So for example, a backhand flip where the paddle is inverted, hence using the forehand side. There are so many types of flips. Windshield wiper, as the name suggests, is a motion that resembles the motion a windshield wiper in your car makes, in which the player plays a backhand shot with the forehand rubber. For a right-handed player, the motion is from their left to the right. From right to left would simply be a fade or inside-out shot. You often see similar players use this shot, but sometimes a shakehand player will do this or use it as a serve return. Normally this is a very suboptimal shot, so you don't see it much on the pro stage, but it technically can be done. Okay, I think that just about covers it, at least I hope so. I really hope I didn't leave anything out. And just keep in mind there is some nuance because of different terminology in different regions. But to end, I will note that there are tons of weird shots that probably don't have names, like the chicken wing, where you want to play a backhand but the ball comes to your forehand, so you play a backhand anyway. These types of shots I don't want to classify, because while you could probably invent a million of them, they're not mainstream enough to warrant having an actual name other than incorrect shot. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time.